Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's Takes with Alex, and I am your host, Alex. We are living in interesting times. We see the axis of evil getting dismantled, thank God, to our strong leaders. And we see movements throughout the world where, people are overthrowing their corrupt and oppressive governments. And we see governments just, some governments making poor choices and just, digging themselves further down the hole, the Bear Shachas, okay? The endless dark pit. And that is only going to create a void. And so that void, thank God, will be filled with light, with hope, with renewal, with endless possibilities. And it's appropriate to talk about the coming of the light, okay? The spiritual significance of Mashiach. Every great spiritual tradition on earth carries within it a single burning hope that one day the world will be healed, that suffering will end, that something greater, something more than what we know, is coming. In Buddhism, they speak of Maitreya, the future Buddha. In Hinduism, the 10th avatar of Vishnu, Kalki, who will restore righteousness. In Christianity, the return of Christ. In Islam, the coming of Mahdi. And in the ancient Jewish mystical tradition, Mashiach. Today we're going to explore Mashiach not as a tribal concept, not as a religious dogma, but as one of the most profound spiritual ideas humanity has ever conceived. Because what the sages and mystics described thousands of years ago speaks directly to something every human being already feels in the deepest part of their soul. The feeling that we are not finished yet. That the world, as beautiful and broken as it is moving towards something. Let's explore what that something might be. So, what is Mashiach? The word Mashiach, you may know it by its Greek translation, Messiah, literally means the anointed one. In the ancient world, kings and high priests were anointed with sacred oil as a symbol that they were being set apart, called to a higher purpose than ordinary life. But Mashiach, as described in the Jewish mystical tradition, is something far beyond a political leader or religious figurehead. The Kabbalists, the great Jewish mystics, taught that Mashiach is a human being who carries within them the most elevated soul ever to descend into the world. Not a god, not a supernatural being from another dimension, a human being, fully human, who has refined themselves so completely, who has aligned themselves so perfectly with divine truth that through them an entirely new era of existence becomes possible. Think of it this way. Every so often in human history, a single person appears whose consciousness is so expanded, whose love is so complete, that they literally alter the course of history. A Moses, a Buddha, a Jesus, a Gandhi. Now, imagine someone whose impact is not just historical, but cosmic. Someone whose arrival doesn't just change one civilization or one era, but transforms the very fabric of reality as we know it. That is the soul. That is the soul the tradition calls Mashiach. And here is where it gets truly extraordinary. The mystics taught that this soul has been waiting since before creation itself, since before the universe existed. Hidden in the high spiritual realms, biding its time, waiting for the precise moment when humanity is ready. Well, ready for what? To understand Mashiach, you have to understand a concept the mystics call tikkun olam, the repair of the world. The idea is this: when the world was created, something shattered. Now, whether you take this literally or metaphorically is not the point, because every human being in every culture feels this truth in their bones. Something is broken here. We have technology that could feed every person on earth, and people starve. We have the capacity for extraordinary love, and we wage war. We carry within us moments of breathtaking beauty, and we destroy the planet that sustains us. The mystics said, this brokenness is not an accident. It is a challenge, a sacred assignment given to the human race to gather the scattered sparks of light, to repair what was broken, to elevate the physical world until it shines with its original divine radiance. Every act of kindness is a spark gathered. Every moment of truth spoken is a piece of the world repaired. Every time a human being chooses love or fear, the world moves closer. Well, closer to what? To the era the mystics called the Olam Haba, the world to come. Not a world after death, not a heaven somewhere else, but this world transformed. A world where the underlying unity of all existence becomes visible, where the separation between the spiritual and the physical dissolves, where human beings live in conscious harmony with each other and with the source of all life. And Mashiach is not the one who does this for us. Mashiach is the one who emerges when we have done enough of it ourselves. The arrival of Mashiach in Jewish mystical thought is not a rescue mission, it is a graduation. It is the universe recognizing that humanity has matured enough to step into a new chapter of existence. So now let's go deeper into the mystical teachings about the nature of Mashiach's soul itself, because this is where things get genuinely mind-bending. The Kabbalistic tradition teaches that all of reality is structured in layers, worlds within worlds, each one more refined and luminous than the last. At the very top of this hierarchy, closer to the infinite source of all existence than anything else, is a level the mystics called Adam Kadmon, the primordial human. Not a physical human being, but the spiritual blueprint of what humanity ultimately is, the divine template from which all souls emerge. And the soul of Mashiach, the mystics taught, emanates from the highest level. Think about what that means. Every soul that has lived carries a spark of the divine. Every human being, in some sense, a fragment of a greater whole. But the soul of Mashiach is described as a klal, a totality. A soul so comprehensive, so all-encompassing, that it contains within it all other souls. Like every individual instrument playing its own melody, and then the moment when a conductor lifts their baton and suddenly every instrument finds its place in the symphony. Mashiach is the conductor, not because they are more important than any individual soul, but because their function is to reveal the harmony that was always there. The Hasidic masters added something even more remarkable. They taught that the soul of Mashiach has been present throughout all of history, not as a single incarnation, but as a spark hidden within the greatest souls of every generation. Every generation has its own potential Mashiach, a soul prepared and ready, should humanity be ready to receive them. This means that the emergence of Mashiach is not waiting for a miracle from above, it is waiting for us. So now let's zoom out. Because what I want you to notice is that the spiritual architecture we've just described appears in nearly every great wisdom tradition on earth. In Hinduism, the concept of the avatar, a divine consciousness descending into human form to restore dharma, cosmic order, mirrors the Kabbalistic Mashiach almost exactly. The Buddhists speak of bodhisattva, a being who has attained enlightenment but chooses to remain in the cycle of existence until every sentient being is free. In the Sufi tradition of Islam, mystics speak of the Qutb, the spiritual pole of the age, a hidden saint whose consciousness upholds the spiritual balance of the entire world. Indigenous traditions around the globe carry prophecies of a coming time of healing, a return to harmony between the human family and the living earth. Are all of these traditions pointing at the same thing? Perhaps not the same person, perhaps not the same theology, but the same reality. The felt sense encoded in the DNA of human spiritual experience that consciousness is evolving, that the universe has direction, that love is not naive, it is the most powerful force in existence, and that the full flowering of that love in the human heart and in the human civilization is not a fantasy, it is a destination. The great 20th century philosopher and mystic Pierre Teilhard de Chardin called it the omega point, the moment toward which all of evolution is converging, when consciousness folds back upon itself and recognizes its own divine nature. The Jewish mystics, thousands of years earlier, called it the area of Mashiach. Different maps, same mountain. So what does any of this mean for you sitting here right now in your life? Here's what I find most beautiful about the Mashiach concept when understood through the mystical lens. It is radically personal. The Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic mysticism, taught that every human soul contains a spark of the Mashiach consciousness within it. It's up to us to activate it. Not just the great leaders, not just the saints and sages, you. Because this aspect of our souls, this Mashiach consciousness, is the part that is in exile. The world is currently in exile. And so, as our spiritual vessels become more filled, we will ultimately reignite that part of ourselves where we no longer are living in the spiritual exile. The part of you that refuses to give up on people, the part of you that feels genuine pain when you see injustice, the part of you that has, in your finest moments, acted with the love that surprised even yourself. That is not accidental, that is the Mashiach spark. The tradition teaches that the world is redeemed one act at a time, one person at a time, one moment of genuine human connection, one choice to bring light into darkness, one refusal to harden your heart at a time. And here is something the mystics said that stopped me in my tracks the first time I encountered it. They said the Mashiach is standing at the gates, ready. And when asked, when will you come? The answer given is, today, if you will but listen. Today, not in some distant future, not when some external condition is met, but today, in this moment, if we choose to show up as the highest version of ourselves. Think about the people in your life who embody this, who seem to carry within them an inexhaustible capacity for love, for wisdom, for seeing the best in others even when the evidence suggests otherwise. These people change the atmosphere of every room they enter. They make you want to be better, not through guilt or pressure, but through the simple, irresistible magnetism of their light. The mystics would say these people are drawing on Mashiach's spark within them. It activates something maybe uncomfortable within us because it forces us to see the world in a different way. And so can you. Not perfectly, not all the time, but more and more often. Because every time you do, the world comes a little closer to what it was always meant to be. The mystics painted a picture of what the world looks like after the full flowering of Mashiach consciousness has taken hold through everyone around the world, and it is worth sitting with. They described a world where the knowledge of the divine, the awareness of the underlying unity of all existence, fills the earth the way water fills the ocean, where there is no more need for war, because the root of war, the illusion of separation, has been dissolved, where human creativity reaches its full expression. Art, science, philosophy, music, no longer hampered by poverty, by fear, by the need to simply survive, where the relationship between humanity and the natural world is restored to its original harmony, where every human being, regardless of background, regardless of tradition, lives in the full dignity of their divine image. This is not a naive utopia. The mystics were not naive people. They lived through exile and persecution and loss, but they held this vision not as an escape from reality, but as the deepest truth about what reality is moving toward. And here's the final thought I want to leave with you. The vision of Mashiach is not asking you to wait. It's not telling you to sit back and hope that someone else fixes the world. It is saying the light is in you. The repair begins with you. The world that is coming, the healed, illuminated, fully human world, is built from the inside out, one heart at a time. And you are part of that building. You always have been. So whether you come from a Jewish background or none at all, whether you resonate with the language of Kabbalah or prefer the words of your own tradition, the soul of what Mashiach points to is universal. It is the insistence that this world matters, that human beings are capable of extraordinary things, that love is not weakness, it is the architecture of the universe itself, and that the light, however dark the night is, the light is coming. Maybe it is already here in every person who chooses, against all odds, to be kind. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And in the comments below, I'd love to know. So, what does the idea of a healed world mean to you? Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Appreciate all of you. Everyone should be blessed. Everyone should be happy. We should all flow. Flow. Divine blessings should flow onto us, onto the world, and we should see better times soon. Thank you all. Have a great day.